Hi, good morning. We have a very small crowd this morning in person, but we should have another 30 or so live streaming. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm Vicky from Compiler. Many of you already know me. We're a small software consultancy that works with mostly transit, but also government agencies on building software and data practices. Today we've got Robert Reny from Metropolitan Water District here to talk about his last couple of years at the agency and building a data science team and a practice in research. So I don't think we have any other, let's see, do we have any other announcements this morning? We've got a couple of jobs. We'll send these out to listserv as well. We're constantly encouraging more folks to apply directly in government. Lots of our favorite jobs boards are up here. We have a couple of new events highlighted that are coming up soon. Wait, oops, sorry. There we go. All right, I'll turn it over to Robert.
Thanks, Vicky. Hi, everyone. My name is Robert Reny. Thanks for coming. And I work for Metropolitan Water District. And I'm excited today to talk about starting a data science community in a public agency. Just to give you an outline of today, first I'm going to define what we mean by that, because data science community is pretty vague as a term. I'll go over the ingredients we think you need to do this yourself. Then I'll hit on how did we justify doing this, the time and money spent, where are we now? And then I'll give you a kind of a reality check of how long this has taken. It's not been exactly the smoothest process. And then finally, we'll end with some conclusions and tips. So first off, what is a data science community? What do we mean by that? So on our floor of about 60 people, we have 6 R users and 2 Python users, give or take. And basically everyone works totally siloed. So everyone's on their own computers. Any analysis they do is totally by themselves. There's very little sharing or collaboration. And for new people, learning really isn't supported. So if you want to learn, there's not really any infrastructure to help you do that. So you're just kind of on your own. And as an example of what this looks like for us or for me, I work in Python. So I'm one of those 2 people who use Python. And say I do some analysis, and then I want one of my teammates who are really detail-oriented, but they know R, to review my work. They're not going to install Jupyter Notebook and Python just to review my work. So I'm kind of solo a lot of the times. And basically, all we want to do, and what we mean by community, is switching this situation where people are siloed and not collabing into a situation where we have some sharing going on, some collaboration. Learners are empowered, and people who already code maybe have a little more offered to them. And just as a disclaimer, we are a work in progress. I think we're past the pizza dough stage. We're definitely not a pizza. But I do think we have identified the ingredients you need to make your data science community pizza. And those ingredients are technical infrastructure and social infrastructure. Basically, you can summarize this as, is it technically possible to meet your goals for your data science community? And then once you have that, will people actually use it? And how do you get people to come in and use whatever product or whatever your platform is for your data science community? So basically what I said already, we want to make sure that our goals are possible with the technical infrastructure. Is it possible to share work? Is it possible to collab? Can we make learning easier and provide current users with value? And to do this, we ended up investing in Posit Teams, which if you haven't heard of Posit Teams, it's formerly RStudio. So if you know R, they used to be RStudio. They've rebranded to Posit Teams, basically because they now combine R and Python support within their platform, which are the 2 most common open source data science languages. And this is not an advertisement, but I am going to disclose that they sent me a onesie. And that's just a coincidence. But I'm not being paid for this. And basically, Posit Teams offers browser-based coding, very generally, but I'll go into a little more detail. So Posit Teams, it runs internally on servers, which is really nice, we thought, from our IT perspective, so it's pretty secure, safe, and all that. R and Python are hot to go. Basically, anyone can log in, and R and Python are gonna be working. Like, you could open up code, it's gonna work for the most part, which this is great for new people, great for sharing and collaboration. There's also some built-in ways to share within it. And then it also offers value for current coders. So if you wanted to make a dashboard or an automated report, anything like that before, it was pretty difficult. But with Posit Teams, it's much easier and just like less of a headache. So we were happy with Posit Teams. We're like, this is a technical solution we wanted. But then you buy something like this, and now you have to know that people are actually going to use it. And this is almost the harder part, or like the social aspect. How do you sell a new thing, like change your workflow from your own computer to this like server-based option? How do you advertise it? And how do you make people feel welcome to learn? The good news here is great guidance already exists, and people are already doing this work. Sorry. So you have the data science community builders. That's a Posit-led effort. They have some great resources. OpenScapes, they are actually like government focused for doing this type of social data science work. They're really great, and Our Ladies as well. And basically, I went to like these sources and pulled their guidance. It's all laid out really well. And I kind of liken this to starting a college club. Like, say you have the best idea for a college club, but if you don't do any work to advertise and like tell people why it's great and bother people to a certain extent, no one's going to show up, no matter how good your idea is. And just to, there's a lot going on here, but I do want to hit on like what this generally looks like from the social aspect. This is OpenScape's flywheel, and the main things to look at here are just that it's a circular process. You welcome people, you create space, you empower learners, and work openly. And it kind of starts off with a smaller group, and hopefully eventually you get enough momentum that a bunch of people have bought into your kind of community collaboration philosophy. But yeah, if you want like more concrete steps, both all these agencies, OpenScapes, Our Ladies, Posit Data Science Community, they have all like more practical steps to follow. Okay, so we have our technical and our social infrastructure, and these are taking time and they're taking staff, or they're taking money and staff time. So I think within a public agency especially, you might be wondering like, how are we justifying the time, justifying the like startup costs and all that. And this part is a little hard because the problems are, I call them largely hidden. So people not sharing, people not collaborating, difficulties getting a dashboard up and running. None of these are really obvious problems, and there's not like a price you can put on what you're losing by not doing those things. And then the same on the other side, the benefits are hard to quantify by themselves. Like, you can't really sell to management, like, this is gonna save us this much money or anything like that. So our approach was to go bottom up, where our small team within the larger group, we invested the time and the money with the eventual goal that we'll demonstrate to the larger group, this is worth it, and we can stop paying for it, and other people are using it as well. Okay, so just to do a quick review on this, if you want to do a data science community or anything similar, I think you need technical infrastructure and social infrastructure. For us, that was Posit Teams, the technical part. And for getting started, we did a bottom-up approach, which I think has pros and cons. If you can have buy-in from upper management to do this at a larger scale, like, I think that would be ideal for sure, but that wasn't our approach. I do want to touch on some of our wins since we've launched this. It's only been about a year and a half. But we have an R training coming up for 7 people who want to learn R. We're scheduling that. We have multiple people who have shared code in the past year. I think people's work has become more visible because of this. We've had a successful handoff of code from someone who left and a new person who came in, which I think like that's a big sticking point. Like someone has a code process, they leave, someone new comes in, and a new person might just have to start from zero. So we were able to like do a nice, easy handoff there. I got convinced someone to relearn Python, which I'm excited about. And then I want to share just a few cool things people have made and published. So we have one staff person who made this really cool automated deadline checker, basically to track invoices and whether or not they're late, and kind of flag to people on her team the status, which I think is really cool. And this is a cool example where this person made this before we had this platform. But basically, she had to be like, if someone wanted to check, they had to go through her. Now she was able to publish this, and when I say publish, that just means it's like living internally on a URL. So now anyone on her team can go check it for themselves. And because it became more visible, she also like added to it because it's like, well, other people are going to use it and see it and benefit from it, and you know, there's real value in adding to this. Lauren on my team, who I know she spoke a few years ago, but she has a code that runs every single day to update ET data for this farm field where we have a study going on. So every single day it's scheduled to run and call an API to update the ET data, which is very cool. And then we were also able to avoid the dashboard graveyard. So we had a consultant make this really cool dashboard, kind of marrying all this data together. But it would have had to live on the cloud. We wouldn't really have like full control over it, and probably would have to keep a contract open. Like if the data changes, we can't make any changes there. Like, so we're just like married to like cloud costs, keeping this contract open. But with this platform, we were able to bring this internally, and so now we can like make changes to the data. We could even, not that any of us have the skills right now, but if we wanted to, make the dashboard different, that's possible. But I think it's a cool example of, instead of having to pay for this to be upkept on the cloud or just let it die, we were able to bring it internally. Now for a reality check of how long this has taken. And I don't know if you will think this is a long time, but we didn't really have a frame of reference for how long any of this would take. So on the technical side, we started this process in October 2022, and we asked IT for these servers. I call out this change advisory board because we didn't know this existed, but basically it's like an IT process. When you're doing something kind of large, they're gonna want to review it. So I'm just flagging that. You probably have something similar. March 23 is when we bought it, and the servers went live April 2023. We started the install May 2023, and it wasn't live until December. So there's a large chunk of time that was just bugs, trying to get things working correctly. And I want to call out ChatGPT during this. It obviously didn't fix our problems, but IT speak to an analyst it's wholly foreign. Especially we're working in these Linux servers, and then we don't know Linux. Like, what are these error messages? So I think ChatGPT was actually really useful to like be a translator. Like, what's my problem? What do I need to tell IT? Otherwise, we're just going back and forth with IT and like not communicating clearly. So I do feel like that was really helpful and maybe made that long period of bugs a little bit shorter. But it was still a long time, and it was quite painful because we bought the product. So this is just like dead time that we lost. But now we're live and things are okay. But on the social side, it's been about 9 months since we've really got things going. We sent out an interest poll early on just to kind of, I guess, chum the waters. Started evangelizing in like April, and then we had our launch meeting in April 2023. Uh, we put up a SharePoint site because we are a Windows shop, and it's actually useful to have like a central spot for information and to point people to. We have had one code share where people shared their code for APIs, which I think was really useful and got people excited. And then, like I said earlier, we have an art training that we're scheduled to come up. All right, and then just to finish up with some conclusions and takeaways, I think overall people want to code, and if you give them the infrastructure, they will once they get the time, since everyone's busy. And people also want to work together. So I don't think like, lack of sharing or collaboration isn't a problem of people wanting to do that, but you do need to give some level of support for that. This is a long-term effort. It's been about a year and a half, like I said, and we have like some wins, but it's still totally a work in progress. So I think if you want to do something similar, reframe your timelines and what success means on the short term. And you'd have to advertise. I think this has been like the biggest lesson to me, is like to the point of almost bothering people. But if you really believe that this is useful and like people will find value in it once they use it, then it is up to you to like push them to that point of actually using it and getting that benefit. And with that, that's everything I have.